shocker tonight in the Caylee Anthony murder case. Casey Anthony slams prosecutors in a handwritten note filed just a little while ago. In a sworn affidavit, Casey said, quote, "I believe that Mr. Ashton, the prosecutor, is angry because I have refused to take a plea agreement for a crime that I did not commit," end quote. The words "did not" were written in capital letters. The affidavit also says Casey has no agreements to sell her story or that of my daughter, Kaylee Marie Anthony. This letter, part of Jose Baez's response to the prosecution's demand to know how Casey is paying for her very high-profile defense team, a.k.a. the Dream Team, which includes 8 lawyers and a slew of famous experts. Prosecutors believe the only way Casey could afford her legal team would be to sell images of little Kaylee. They claim Baez may have a conflict of interest if he's managing Casey's assets, but Baez says everything he's done is ethical and above board. Still, could this be the basis of an appeal if Casey is convicted of murder? With me, my fantastic expert panel: Paul Callan, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor; Rebecca Rose Woodland, criminal defense attorney; Drew Findling, Atlanta-based criminal defense attorney; and Bob Keeling, reporter for CNN affiliate WESH. Bob, what is the very latest?
Well, what's interesting, Jane, is that I just got off the phone with Jose Baez, and he said it was difficult for his client not to take that show me the money motion from prosecutors a little bit personally, because the prosecutor, Mr. Ashton, used a line like she's gone from pauper to princess. That's why she came back with her own handwritten response, as you mentioned, saying the prosecutor's angry that I've refused to take a plea agreement for a crime I did not commit. And some very interesting news that's contained within that is that she is acknowledging the existence of some sort of plea agreement that either is on the table or has been on the table. Baez won't talk about it, and neither will the state.
That's pretty fascinating, Paul Callan. You're a former prosecutor. This is how we're finding out that there was a plea agreement possibly offered to her?
Yeah, very strange. And, you know, I got to say, Jane, I usually take the prosecutor's side in these issues, but this is outrageous. Where do they get off asking how she's paying for her lawyers? They didn't ask O.J. Simpson that. I don't hear anybody asking Bernie Madoff how he's paying for his lawyers. So where do they get off saying that Baez has to reveal how he's being paid? You know something? Half these lawyers, probably all of them, are working for free. They're working for the publicity. And frankly, it's none of the prosecutor's business.
Well, this is quite the dream team, however. You know, the prosecution wanted to know just who is paying for this very expensive, if it is, in fact, they're not working for free, legal defense team. Now, here's part of the motion that you just referred to. The defendant's seeming conversion from pauper to princess did not come from the sale of some tangible asset available to her prior to her initial arrest on charges related to this case. Now, we're going to go through this list. This is an extraordinary list of defense attorneys. And why don't we start with the most famous of all, of course, aside from Jose Baez. You have Linda Kenny Bodden. She's been involved in the Phil Spector defense. You have famous experts like Dr. Henry Lee, who has assisted in more than 6,000 cases, including O.J. Simpson and Lacey Peterson. You have Dr. Werner Spitz, who testified in the O.J. Simpson murder trial. You have Dr. Lawrence Kobelinsky. He's one of the top experts in DNA. Dr. Timothy Huntington, a rising star in the world. You know what? It would take us the entire show to list all the experts that are on this dream team, along with 8 attorneys.
But Jane, you're missing Paul's point, because Paul and I have practiced in cases together, and we both travel around the country. And you're right, there are a lot of experts, and who knows what the financial agreement is with them. But with due respect to the defense attorneys in this case, as I think Paul would agree with me, this isn't a dream team of defense attorneys. There are some mega superstars in Orlando that have been practicing for 25 years that aren't even near this case. We read their commentary in this Sentinel.com, but other than that, they have nothing to do with this case. So calling it a dream team of experts is one thing.
Wait. Linda Kenny Bodden got a mistrial for Phil Spector, and I covered that case. And let me tell you, she was brilliant.
That's fantastic, but where's the rest of the...
It was a brilliant defense, so I think she alone makes it a dream team.
Well, a dream team is when you talk about O.J. Simpson, and you talk about Barry Scheck, Johnny Cochran, F. Lee Bailey, Peter Neufeld. It doesn't stop there. That's the dream team that we start talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. That doesn't exist in this case. There are apparently attorneys that are willing, as Paul said, to maybe do this for next to nothing, whether it's to publicity, whether there's the intriguing philosophical aspects of this case.
Okay.
Who knows?
I'll give you that one. Now, let's take a look at another big issue today. Let's look at one of the recently rediscovered YouTube videos of Kaylee. This is Casey Anthony playing with Kaylee. Now, when we first saw this, we thought somebody associated with the family posted it. That would make sense, right? Makes Casey look good. Maybe, maybe not. We now know that somebody going by the name of Momtective was posting these videos to YouTube. She addressed the image we are looking at on her blog saying, quote, I certainly don't see a loving mother when I watch the videos of Casey playing with little Kaylee. To me, Casey looks very uncomfortable, kind of like she's trying not to break a nail, muss her hair, or smudge her makeup. So let's go to Rebecca Rose Woodland, the female criminal defense attorney on the panel. You know, we're both women. We look at this. What do you see? A loving mother or a woman trying not to mess up her makeup?
I think it's offensive that that woman would say that. Quite frankly, I think it's a woman who loves her child. You know, I know what she's being charged with, and again, I'm going to say this as I say it all the time, innocent until proven guilty.
Let me jump in here, though, Rebecca, and say this is the same woman who didn't let anybody know for a month that her child was missing. This is the same woman who lied to her parents and investigators about having a job at Universal Studios and even took cops to Universal Studios until they confronted her. This is a woman who allegedly stole money from her own family and from friends.
I agree. Jane, I agree. This is not a dream defense here. But does this video depict a mother who doesn't love her child? No, I do not think so. I think this video happens to depict a woman who clearly loved her child. What happens? We don't know. Yes, there are a lot of very, very difficult obstacles for the defense to overcome in this case. Absolutely. But again, she is constitutionally innocent before proven guilty. And does this video depict anything other than a loving mother? To me, no.
Let's take a look at some more of the video of little Katie that resurfaced on YouTube. Here she is in front of the television, and this is really heartbreaking. She's learning her ABCs. As so young, so precious. Take a look at this little image of this just adorable little child. Bob Keeling, what's the word out there in that area about the impact of these videos and the fact that they have resurfaced just recently? All right, well, you're hearing a little natural sound of little Kaylee dancing and responding to this video that's trying to teach her the alphabet. Let me go to Paul Callan. As you look at this, you've been on both sides of the fence, prosecutor and defense attorney. What impact are these videos going to have?
Well, you know, people love this little baby, and it's going to create enormous sympathy for the prosecutors in the case. You know, the fact that this little child could have been potentially murdered by her mother. And, you know, Rebecca makes a good point about the Constitution and innocent until proven guilty. But you know something? That's something that happens at the time of trial. You presume innocence until someone is proven guilty. But, you know, there's an absolute truth here. She either did it or she didn't do it. And it's not looking very good for her at this point.
All right. And Rebecca Rose Woodland, I'm going to give you the last word on the impact of this whole demand to know who's paying for Casey's defense. Could it be used by Casey as an argument for appeal if she's convicted?
Sure, absolutely. She could say she's being harassed. Why is her personal information coming to play here? Her dream team is there. If you want to call them a dream team, she probably wants to call them a dream team. I think she's very confident in them. Hey, they're here to help her. It is not about how she's getting paid. She said in an affidavit, as did Mr. Baez, they are not receiving money for any stories they are selling. That is enough.
All right. Thanks again to my panel for their fantastic insight. And moving on, shocking reports in the Rihanna Chris Brown saga claim